Welcome everyone. Thank you for watching Testimony with us today. Today we have something different. We have two guests, Miss Lena Garcia and Miss Veronica Woods. They have a ministry that deals with sign language. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with this wonderful viewing. Thank you. When my troubles surround me. Back everyone. Like I said, we have two exciting guests for us. So let's just go ahead and welcome them in. Hi, Miss Garcia.
Hi.
How are you? Thanks for having you.
Thank
and Miss
you.
Woods. Thanks for having you too.
Thank you.
So let's just start off, Miss Garcia. You want to just let everyone know what is it exactly that started your journey with the Lord?
Well, sure. It was a long time ago. I've been close to the Lord since I was a little girl. It was actually a near-death experience that I had when I was 6 years old. It was a bus accident that my dad and I were in, and I had a near-death experience and saw the light and was going towards it and stuff. So the near-death experience really changed my life when I was 6 years old. So ever since that time, I always had a connection. I always felt close to the Lord. And when I couldn't walk for 3 months because my leg, the bus driver fell asleep, so the bus turned over. My leg was caught underneath the bus, and my dad was trying to get me out and stuff. And but after that journey, for 3 months I couldn't walk, and just things like, was very hard for me. But ever since that time I came back. It's like I had a closeness with the Lord, and then I knew what He had, I knew what Jesus came and He died for us and stuff. It's like I knew all that, but nobody else had shared that with me. I just knew it.
Oh, okay.
And so that was how I came to know the Lord from a very early age. And of course, as I grew up, as we all do, we walk away from the Lord, and something just changes, and we're like, oh, I need to go to God, and I need to just stay on that road. So for 9 years now, 9 to 10 years, I've been dedicated to God. And July 27th of this year, the Hands Ministry was born.
Awesome.
And so I've been doing, the work for God and stuff in this ministry, and it's blessed my life so much. And I know that people that have come for the sessions and that are taking the sessions, these children and adults, I know that the Lord's blessing them with this gift.
Well, I just want to take you back just a little bit before we go all the way with the Hands Ministry, because in order for you, from what I'm getting, when you started with the Hands Ministry dealing with children, you may have had some kind of passion to work with children before you got into it. But while you were from the accident part to, because it sounds like, well, like you said, that you weren't in ministry beforehand, then you understood that there was a God at 6, and then you end up in your more adult years getting a full understanding of God. So just for someone who is out there watching, just to know that even though you were called, you had understanding at that young age that even if you stray away, you still have a chance of knowing to come back. Unfortunately for most people, it takes you to go through some trials before you get back.
Yes.
And could you just share a little bit more in depth of what was going through your mind or on your path back to God? Was it that you still felt a void through those years, and knowing that there was something missing and you had to come back, which brought you back in your adult years? I mean, what actually hit you and say, okay, enough is enough. I know He's real because He saved me from the bus accident, and now I need to get back and get serious with Him.
Well, it's kind of a two-question, so I'm going to kind of answer the first question about the way I got into signing. There was really nobody in my family that was deaf or anything. Okay. It was just a passion that God had put in me. He placed in me when I was, young. And so when I was in school, high school age, junior high, I would ask, the deaf people, some different signs. And so I also went to the library and I just studied everything I could learn about sign language, because it was just something that I really wanted to learn. And so I developed that sign language, and I developed learning and stuff. And so that's how I came into sign language, because a lot of people ask me, well, how come you're interested in sign language? How did you come to this, And so this is how I came to it. It wasn't that I had anybody deaf in my family, but it was just a passion. I believe that God placed a little seed in that age, and then it just kept growing, and now it's just blossoming. And the day that I just said, okay, this is enough, and I came back to God was October of 1999.
Okay. And
I was in my room, and I was just, laying there, and the Lord spoke to me. And he said, if you give me your life, I will give you mine. And he said, I will come in, and I will give you blessings, and I will give you a best friend, and so I said, and I did. I gave up. That night was the night that I gave up my whole life, and I gave it to God, and God gave me a whole brand new one. And ever since then, I have been on fire for God and loving Him. And I came from Texas. I moved down here to Louisiana, and I met my best friend. I've known her for 12 years. So God always, when He promises you something, He'll always, bring it forth, and it'll always happen. When He told me He was going to give me a best friend that I've never had before, and it was so true, because when I met her that night, we've never been apart since, and our kids grew up together because she had children. So awesome. It's just, I put my faith in God, and I know that when He speaks to me and He tells me, this is going to happen, or whenever I'm in a trial, it's so hard to be in a trial, but with God's strength, you can do it, and He will help you through, and He loves you, and even though you have been, you did something bad and you fall back, know that He's always there to catch you and bring you back home. So when you started the awesome, and that is so totally true. When you started the Hands Ministry, I'm sure, as a lot of things that people start, sometimes you have a little bit of challenges that comes across. But right now, you're able. You probably at your age, at the time that you started, didn't know why you were so interested in sign language, and it turned out to be part of your ministry that you have for God. And He does that so many times. You don't know why you are the way you are, but it's all because He designed you that way to bring something through. Oh, so with that, I see Miss Woods is with you. So what is she doing with the... Well, the Hands Ministry had an honor and a blessing to come to Ladre's church. And it's called the Spirit and Truth Church, and Pastor Benton's wife, Sister Willie, had called me, and she had actually heard a program on the radio with Miss Tiffany, and so she called and said, I want you to come, and I want you to introduce worship and sign in our church. So I did, and that's where I met Ladre. She had wanted me to meet Ladre, especially because she saw the same passion in Ladre that I have. And Miss Sister Willie knows that Ladre is called to do that, and that is just such an awesome calling to be able to worship with your hands. And I have seen Ladre as well perform worship and sign by herself, and it's just so amazing with her youth, with the youth team they have. And so I just brought her here today to kind of give a little bit of testimony about, the Hands Ministry and how it's, inspired her. And I was able to work with their youth group as well, and we performed a song at their church, and it was such a blessing. And Ladre has been such a blessing in my life. She's inspired me. And awesome. Sister Willie is such a blessing too. I'm so thankful for her and her husband letting me, allowing me to come into their church and sang, you know, and worship and sang, introduced us to their church, and I just love them so much. And so Ladre's here just to see what, you know, she has to say about the Hands Ministry and how it's helped her.
Well, Miss Woods, what exactly, I mean, how long you been walking with the Lord, first of all?
I've been saved for about 3 years, like going on 3.5 years.
And you're doing some mighty things already.
Yes, ma'am. God has been moving real fast in my life.
Yes, he is.